propaganda. I'm assuming Slap's just trolling everyone, but no, that was just a bunch of certain kind of people that don't like him saying he was leaving because they dunked on him so hard he's leaving the internet. Can't you believe that he's such a pussy? He got dunked on one time, so now he's leaving the internet? They did it with their anti-woke power.
What are we even watching?
No one can ever truly leave.
What a week, huh, sports fans? Holy Toledo.
But I already saw the statement about him. He's not going to stop uploading on YouTube. He's just not going to be paying as much attention to the internet.
Yeah, so MoistCritical's in a big oopsie-poopsie situation here. It reminds me of the time in Moonfall when K.C. Houseman sacrifices himself and dies of cringe to become the moon. Yeah, so, being serious now, since this has become such a big issue, I've been in a lot of drama recently. I'm in hot water, and I'm biting on the fart bubbles that pop up in the bathtub here. It is a lot. So let's start with the most recent one today. My retirement. I didn't know I was retiring. That's news to me. I'm as shocked as all of you are. I had a ton of fun last night playing a game called Clickleding, which is basically like a cuckoldry simulator, but for clicking against like the Lorax in a hotel room. And I just did like an old school gameplay commentary video. I was bubbly, full of jubilation. I posted it today only to learn that I'm just a big old fucking liar. Liar, liar, plants for hire, I suppose. Apparently, and I didn't know this until I posted the video, everyone was under the impression that I was quitting the internet. So I started scratching at the hair on my chinny chin, wondering, when the fuck did that happen? Was I sleepwalking? Do I have somnambulism? Is this some kind of like...
Yeah, so that already counters all the people saying that he was quitting the internet because Sneako dunked on him, apparently. Or whatever the fuck they were trying to say by saying he just got backlash over his one what's that trigger word everyone uses? Centrist opinion. Fence-sitter opinion. And he left the internet. So that cuts those people out as just talking trash.
Like, you know, Fight Club situation, but instead of like Tyler Durden, I have fucking Charles Turden here that's just making wrong announcements. It turns out the patient zero behind all of this was a post Jackson made announcing that I would be leaving the podcasts, which is something I thought about periodically for quite a few months now, mainly because I started to recognize that I was becoming the very thing I'd make fun of with being chronically online. Like, I just was always online, and the podcasts were a big proponent of that, and I just kind of wanted to scale back the amount of time I spend online, so... And I kept Jackson in the loop the whole time here about where my head was at, and last week I told him, hey man, I think this is going to be where I hang up the jersey, you can put it in the rafters, throw it in the dumpster, but I think I'm just going to be, you know, sailing off into the sunset.
Yeah, sometimes it's more. Like, let's take a pause quickly. Because that's why I knew he wasn't taking a break like everyone said, because as soon as I saw that, I went to his fucking YouTube. And look, there has been no pause in uploading since the Sneako thing. Like, he's not taking a break, or he would have been a pause in here of uploading, but there isn't. Sometimes he posts twice a day. Do you see this? Like, some of these in here he posts like twice a day. That's craziness, right? Like, yeah, he probably has a full-time editor, but yeah.
Here and just reducing the amount of stuff I do online, which he completely understood. So he made the announcement just letting people know that, and then that got spun on Twitter and Reddit as MoistCritical's taking an indefinite hiatus and quitting the internet fundamentally. Don't know when I'll be back. He's done with the internet because of all this controversy. Patooey on his grave. He's gone.
Patooey.
I mean, looking at the post, I don't even know where that's coming from. It's literally just talking about the podcast and me just stepping away. Like, it doesn't extend beyond that. I can't even wrap my tiny noodle.
To be fair, every time a content creator, like, leaves anything from a podcast to, like, literally just having KFC with a homie, everyone comes out with a conspiracy theory on, like, he must be having a mental breakdown. And it's just like, he does a lot of work. He wants to do less work. The end. Like, give it that hook, too.
Around how anyone could perceive this as me being done with the internet entirely, but that's the story that they ran with, and that's what most people saw, not the actual post. So everyone thought I was quitting the internet, so I posted that video that I was really happy with because it just felt like an OG old school video that made me happy, and then bang! Just a flood of comments and dislikes all saying shit like, how could you fucking deceive us? I thought you quit, huh? What happened to leaving, huh? I just read this post on Twitter from an account that had a profile pic of titties photoshopped onto Thomas Edison that said you were done, and it had 50,000 likes, so I know it was true, and you're just a fucking liar.
I would always suggest this when people are watching videos, and if you're smart enough to think, could this be true? You know, you have the intelligence above like a 6-year-old woman on Facebook reading that autism is made from, I don't know, looking at unicorns. If you click on their page, you can usually tell if it's a bit reliable, even on Twitter, because what the person retweets or has in their bios kind of shows who they are and if they're a reliable source.
I can't even just peacefully walk away from some projects without it being a massive fucking reaction over actual nothing burger information. And trust me, no one has a palate more refined for nothing burgers than me. I have ranted about the stupidest shit of all time, but this was mind-boggling even for me. So to set the record straight, no, I'm not retiring, despite what the experts are telling you. All I did was walk away from a couple of projects. Like, that's really it. Like, that's a pretty normal thing to do, especially when one of them I've been doing for, like, 8 years. I really didn't think
Yeah, because this isn't even his only channel. He has, like, a channel that he runs, like, BuzzFeed kind of old videos, where they're, like, challenges and stuff, and it's just, like, he has a lot of other jobs he does. Yeah, I know. What's a source? What's a source? What are you saying? This account that mainly retweets Nazi memes isn't true? That's fucking crazy. Like, they're not a reliable source? You got people that only upload once in a month. Nothing happens. A public streamer stops being active for 2 days and people lose their minds.
Was that deep, especially not deep enough for how big of a story it's become with all of the wild narratives running around about the true reason that I stopped doing it. So let's get into that drama. I've talked about it on stream, I don't even know how many times at this point, but we'll just talk about all of it in this video here. So, when covering the Ava Tyson situation, I was attacked by a lot of people for not being quick enough. Even though I covered it within like the first 6 hours, people were unsatisfied that I hadn't made a video within like the first fucking 20 minutes of it dropping. And then when I did finally finish the full video covering all of it...
Honestly, like, a lot of this stuff has made me really want to commission my own memes where it's just like, source, or... It's like, or just the tapping the mug, don't be a cunt. Like just so I can reply with the same replies to some people and not have to type it out. It's like, have you heard of not being a cunt?
It was another massive problem where
gamer.
Now I only did it out of an obligation because people called me out, and then I also got accused of being a transphobe because I didn't use Ava Tyson's preferred pronouns, which were she, her. I didn't know that. I thought just calling Ava Tyson by her name was okay, and I had also heard when I went to the Mr. Beast thing, someone refer to Ava Tyson with they. So I was truly...
They, yeah, and they can be anything. Who cares? Yeah. What? Oh my god, yeah. Sauce? Sauce? We need sauce?
under the impression that that was okay. And for that, I was annihilated by a good chunk of Twitter.
It's funny as this is, I'm worse in real life. Like, my friends, like, find it very funny that sometimes someone will just come up to me and they'll be like, oh, I don't know if it's, like, right to tell them no and stuff. And I'll just be like, fuck off. So quick, and I'll be like, no one, like, someone would come up and say the most stupid story that makes no sense, and they'll be like, oh, you can't just call them a liar, and then I'll just be like, dude, no one believes that sounds like bullshit. They'll be like, you can't just tell someone that their story's bullshit. He said his granddad saved people from the Nazis. I don't fucking believe him. It's like, this story made no sense.
And then annihilated by another good chunk of Twitter because I called out Sneako, who was the main proponent about me covering for Mr. Beast to keep the collab alive. I wasn't talking about Ava Tyson because I wanted the Mr. Beast collab. And I talked about how absurd that statement was, especially given his history with fighting against the age of consent. He's been very vocal about how much he hates the age of consent, and so I talked about that briefly at the end of the video.
Sneako needs to be, like, I don't know, put in a rocket to the moon or something. I fucking swear. That dude's deranged. True story is fake. We can call whatever we want fake, no matter how real it is. Exactly. That's what I hate. Everyone's just like, my opinion matters. Like, it's opinions, not fact. But people will literally see something with sources, fact, cited by, like, academics, and like, I don't believe it, bro.
which then changed the whole narrative for a lot of people where I never talked about Ava Tyson and only talked about Sneako. So it was a complete lose-lose, because if I didn't talk about what Sneako was saying, I would have been called a coward for not addressing it and talking about, like, well, he was going to cover for Mr. Beast until Sneako called him out. So, like, if I didn't do it, I would have been attacked. I did do it, still got attacked. It really was unwinnable. But from that spawned a conversation where I talked to Sneako directly, because he was very upset that I was talking about how him rallying against the age of consent is pedophile arguments, like defending pedophilia. As I've said since the very beginning of this channel, I'm always willing to engage with people I disagree with, and I thought that maybe there was a chance I misunderstood what he was trying to say, even though it's still abhorrent. I thought,
never think you're wrong. No, I'm kidding, guys. Always have a bit of leeway in there. But honestly, yeah, I personally think if you, I agree. If you argue against the age of consent to be lower, I'm gonna assume you're a pedo bear. I'm gonna be real. Like, it's a bit fucking weird. But I believe Charlie took the best shot and still think he is, yeah.
Okay, maybe he's not actually trying to defend pedophilia. He's like some kind of pseudo-intellectual debate.
Yeah, it was a lose-lose. Most of the time you engage with people, it's a lose-lose.
Bro who's trying to say something else. So I was willing to hear him out on it, and I talked to him in DMs. And he said he doesn't believe in the age of consent, he believes in the age of marriage, can't assign a number to it, but said that when someone can...
I forgot I put the mic that's in the middle on. Why is his mic so tight? That's my mic. Don't look at my mic. Guys, tiny mics still work, okay? Tiny mics matter too, okay? It might only be 3 inches, but it's still a mic.
Legally drive, they should be able to marry at the same time. Which is literally like a 15 or 16-year-old, because you get your permit at 15, your license at 16, and both are way too young to be marrying. That shit is completely unacceptable. It is...
He's showing DMs. It's bigger than mine, so... Oh, yeah, candidate. To be fair, I would have ignored Sneako. I'd be like, I don't talk to dumb people. And then someone asked me to debate him. It's like, I don't think it's nice to bully people that stupid. Like, debate Sneako. I don't know. I don't think he has the IQ to understand where he is even to have this debate. But is the Japanese support anti-pendo? It's the way to say it. It's the way we say it. Yo, Prince. Yo, yo, yo. Okay, so wait. So, is that drivers at age 15 or drivers at age 16? Muslims will believe it is our duty to follow the law of the land. People should... Why should legally drive and marry at the same time? Why? What's with the driving? What's with the legally should drive at the same time? Because, well, in Australia, anyway, you get your learners at 16, but you have to do like 100... hours, and like 50 of them has to be watched or something. Like, do we have to give counselors so the kids can talk? Like, I don't know. Like, what's with the license? What about driving says you're ready to get married? One of the biggest commitments you will ever make. Like, it wasn't a spiritual question. I have no issue with any faith level. This is a personal belief quest that your response didn't answer. It's cool if you're that curious. Yeah, I'm down to be on later. What the fuck? My point is, Sneako's... Like, I don't understand this. Don't answer the foolish answers the fools, or you'll become as foolish as they are.
Downright disgusting. He then said that he was happy to discuss it in a call.
Some wise words right there.
Which I said I was willing to hear him out on, and he said that he would do it later because he was outside doing an IRL stream in Turkey. So... I was willing to hear him out, because again, if this is some kind of crazy misunderstanding, I'd like to know that, because it'd be really fucking scary for someone in his position with his level of influence to be actually advocating for adults marrying and fucking children. That's...
Yeah, 100%. To be fair, I don't think anyone who says this crap should have a platform. But yeah, that's why in Australia, it's very... You have to work really hard to get your license before, like, 18. Like, you graduate high school, like, 17 or so, but, like, the common age to get a driver's license is 17 to 18, but it's not an open driver's license. It's like a tester one. You only have 3 points. You don't get on an open driver's license where you have, like, 11 points. And you can drive with multiple passengers, etc. until you're, like, 23 or something. You have to have it for, like, 4 or 5 years. You signed up by a passenger with a license? Yep. Yep, exactly. In the US? Yeah, from what I heard, it's really easy to get your license in the US, right? Like, and you get it pretty young, right? Yeah, you can't even, it's a long process getting your full license, Niles.
That's a huge problem. That's a big fucking problem. So if there was something that he was like trying to say but failing to do so, I was
It's because we've got so many drunks, so that's why we take road deaths pretty seriously here. But yeah.
willing to at least hear it. And this is where the infamous debate came from. The debate that people are calling the debate of the century. I'm kidding, not a single soul on the planet said that. It's actually one of the most dogshit debates I think human beings have ever had.
Yeah.
He eventually...
To be fair, the first thing I thought when I saw who did this debate was, why the fuck did he agree to do this debate? Sneako's a dumbass.
Actually called me on Discord. I was under the impression this was just him and I talking. I had no idea this was going to be a debate. I thought he was going to try and explain himself like, hey, no, this isn't actually what I meant. This is what I'm trying to say. I thought this was a conversation between him and I, not this kind of debate show that he was putting on for his audience. There is nothing in our DMs that indicated that's where it was going. When I joined the call, he asked if I was going to record it, to which I said, I can if he wants me to, but I was also...
What's your Discord? My last one got banned. The fuck was he going on Discord to get banned? Do you know how hard it is to get banned on Discord?
down to just talk.
Ugh.
So I thought maybe he wanted it as a recording to like explain to people like, no, he's not actually a pedophile defender or advocating for that kind of thing. So I thought that is why he asked. I didn't know it was because it was being streamed. Especially because one of his last DMs was about how he's doing an outside IRL stream and he would call me after. To me that says when he's done streaming, that's when we'll talk, not as a part of his stream. I didn't know this was...
I do think Charlie's a bit too trusting here, because if I... Next to I would not talk to Sneako. But, two, I would... Who would the fuck would trust Sneako this much? Like, I would have checked that bitch. I would have been like, you better not be on fucking stream, bitch. Like, no, I have no trust in my heart.
It was a debate nor a stream until about an hour and 40 into it, roughly, somewhere in that ballpark. I am not a debater. I've never claimed to be one. I never want to be a debater. I've always said that I believe conversations are the most productive because debates always devolve into what side can score the most points by explaining their thought process, even if the position is wrong. Whereas a conversation is a very different thing to me. So
Yeah, technically, the whole theory behind debate is that you can make any point sound correct. That is, like, the main goal of debate clubs and debate as, like, a thing, is you can make any point sound legit if you know how to debate it. Sneako is a master debater.
I didn't even know that's what this was. So, obviously, I was unprepared for a fucking debate. So I entered into the Thunderdome and we started talking. I made it clear that I found his statements on the age of consent and children marrying adults being fucking hideous. Absolutely revolting. And then he started arguing about, well, what is a child? We must define a child, you know. It's not actually being under 18. It's all a bunch of hooey. And I really think if you have to start arguing about, well, what technically is a child, you're already way too far gone. Like, that is so fucking weird. And in no uncertain terms, multiple times throughout the debate...
This comes up so much with people, but you know what I find stupid? The debate of when someone is a child only fucking comes up when someone's trying to bang someone in that range. No one goes, it's like, oh, a child shouldn't be driving, like, doing XYZ. Like, as in, people think these ages, like, a child shouldn't be drinking. That's what Americans think under 21 is. But if they want to bang them, it's like, oh, but technically, it's like, bro, they're children. And that's why I find hypocritical about the law on this a lot, is like, if you're saying they're a child by law because they're going to smoke a cigarette or smoke a drink, yes, they're too young to get married or sleep with someone. Duh. Like... Yeah, debating, some people treat debating like it's a trap. I do think the most important, I do agree that conversations are more productive than just debates. Because a lot of time, people also just yell over each other in debates, which is not actually how you're supposed to do it, either.
Sneako says that he is okay with people that are aged 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 marrying adults that are 18 or older.
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for, I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore, anyone. Do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
Even get back a little bit. Do you think there's not a problem with a child being with an adult?
Okay.
My thing, why wouldn't the government get involved? That's the government's job, is to do rules. This is what I find funny with a lot of people that talk about. They have no idea what the government's job actually is. But the whole point is a 15-year-old is easily influenced by an adult. Like, we just had a case over here, crazy, and this happens in other countries too, where a mother sold her daughter into 2 different separate marriages. And in the last marriage, she was killed by the abusive husband. And yes, she consented because she didn't know any better. She wasn't able to know any other life. All she knew is she had to respect her mother and do what her mother said, / her father. And that was it. And like, that's why the government's involved, is because to try and protect people in those situations. I'm trying to agree. Yeah, in debates. Yeah, I guess my point is if you get aggressive, you've kind of lost. The whole point of is to stay calm in your points.
We haven't even agreed upon what a child and an adult is. You keep saying that it's 18.
Under 18 is child.
And I'm telling you, that's not even the definition of the word.
What is the number? It needs to be a number, or else you can do the same thing.
I just told you there's not a number.
Do you see why that's a problem?
No.
If there's no defined... So why can't a 12-year-old marry an 18-year-old?
Because most 12-year-olds haven't gone through puberty yet. And most 12-year-olds...
What if, as you just said, it changes. What if a 12-year-old went through puberty early, the parents consent, the 18-year-old and the parents consent? Can they do it?
Most likely that's not going to happen. You know why? Because Islamically, if
we're not talking most likely. Just say it.
If the families have consented, the kid is mature, the kid is ready, why should I stop it?
At 12 years old. At 12 years old.
If the kid if the kid is physically mature, the parents consent, both parties are happy.
A 12-year-old being physically mature.
If that's the only line that actually makes sense.
Huh? What do you mean? Can God hire some mods? What are you saying, Talis?
Again, I don't think a 14-year-old can ever be physically mature.
Mm-hmm. Even though they literally can. Even though puberty actually defines that, it's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna say this for some dumb people, that may not know when puberty muted. What do you mean I'm muted? I'm right here. I was finishing ice in my mouth before I turned it on. Give me a second, my brother. Let me breathe. It's making me lose my brain cell. Oh, the mic might have cut off. Maybe. Fuck. Damn. Okay. Yes, for some people here with puberty can start as early as 9 to 13 is the puberty starts in those ages. Boys, not until they're 12, but okay, no, I'm not muted. Don't even. I don't believe you guys. Master trickster, a master trickster. In his tricks, but like puberty doesn't actually finish until your 20s. No, I don't believe you guys. Okay. Oh my god. I can see my sound coming through the mic on OBS. Sorry, I'm hiccuping. You're making me angry. I'm hiccuping. Oh my god, that hurt. You made me angry, hiccup, and I hurt my chest. I had to check, but yes. So you don't actually finish puberty. You don't finish developing until you're 20. That's when your body, that's why it is the ideal time to have babies too. Or, yes, guys, I'm going to say a dirty word. Sperm. Your sperm is fully developed too. At different ages, sometimes in elementary, sometimes it doesn't come around until high school. 18 is just a good baseline for consent. Yes, exactly. If you're in your teens, so 19, 18, 17, you are a higher risk pregnancy for that exact reason, because they can't fully determine if you're fully developed completely. You know what I mean? And having children stunts your development. So that's why you aren't supposed to do it. This whole, so, well, you start puberty at 12 so you're fully developed. No, that's literally just the start of puberty. That is the start, not the end. It's not like a fucking digi-evolution as soon as you digivolve. But yeah, Sneako's just dumb. Hey, even...
Nope, I don't believe so. I was 14 once. But I actually had a mustache when I was 14. Would you have looked at me and said I was physically mature enough to get married?
If you were physically mature, if you were mature, yes, I would. Okay.
Really? When I was 14.
Yeah. If you were 14 and you were ready to go and you met another 14-year-old, yes, I would.
No. We're talking adults. You keep going back to that.
That is adult.
I met...
I told you my definition. I told you the definition. The definition, okay. If you went through puberty, you're an adult. That's the definition of adult. So yes.
Oh my fucking god, what's the definition of an adult and a child? Let's go, because Sneako's a fucking moron. A person who is fully grown or developed. A person who is fully grown. That says absolutely fucking nothing about puberty. Fully grown or grown or developed. To puberty, exactly, which you're not fully grown or developed until you're almost in your 20s. So Sneako needs to suck a cock, honestly. He's such a dickhead. Behave in a way character of a responsible adult, especially by accomplishing mundane but necessary tasks. Yes. So he's wrong about what makes a physical adult and also what makes an emotional, intellectual adult. He's wrong about. Sneako just being a dickhead, honestly. But it's pretty much a MoistCritical asked him on talk, and they ended up talking about the age of consent. But let's look up what is a child before we get distracted. What's a child? Definition. A child is a human between the stages of birth and puberty. So, yes, it is before puberty, or between the deformity of infancy and puberty. It may also refer to an unborn human being in English-speaking countries. You know what this beautiful word that they're forgetting also? Teenagers. Teenagers are still under child, but it's adolescence. See? A traditional stage of physical and psychological development. It's called adolescence. So Sneako's just... There's also young adult, too, in here. Teens are adolescents. They are technically still in the child category, too, but they're adolescents. They are not adults. Again, the easiest Google of people's fucking lives, but they don't want to Google it because you know what that makes them if they creepy fucks. I think this boils down to how unspecific time can be. We humans invented time. There is literally no equivalent in nature for time. And while there will be a second where someone may have physically developed faster in every single aspect, we can't really say if it's possible or not yet. That's a thing called scientific studies. There is studies around the development of children. There is almost impossible amounts of maturity and development a child can go through, and that is why there's this term of adolescence, pre-adolescence, young adult. These are not just words to hold your hand at night. These are actual scientific stages of development. Same with you know what stage your dog develops, from puppy, etc. You know, toddler. It's like, it's every animal does a development like this. We are an animal, but yeah, Sneako's gross as fuck. Yeah, that Sneako doesn't even believe the stuff he says. He just argues against consent laws because he thinks that's being contrarian. I don't think he understands anything he says. I think he's probably a fucking grifter, but I think his hard drive is probably gross. Well, what the dog doing? But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like the easiest Google of your life. And I don't know why he just regurgitates bullcrap. I also don't know why people follow Sneako. I'm assuming most people hate watch Sneako that watch Sneako, most likely. Because there are a lot of people with big followings where the people that watch them just watch them to do dumb shit.
If you're an adult and you had a mustache, you're ready to get married, fine, okay?
Unironically saying a 14-year-old adult, I think would make most sensible people want to puke. There's so many instances of this, and a lot of the conversation was spent with him talking about, like, overseas age of consent, like talking about how Japan's age of consent was 13 for the longest time.
Yeah, and then they changed it, even though they were under conservative. In most places in Japan now, it's 18 to 16. And even though in some places in Japan it was 13, the federal age was 17 and 16 in most places of Japan. I know creepers want to go, well, it could sometimes be 13 in Japan. No, you know, they usually go by the law of the land, not just sections. You know, what is it called? Provinces, I think they use in Japan. But again, even that is debunked. They're old consent hold. But see a rabbit, I'm a bunny rabbit. Like something stupid, yeah. A cock. Every time I see him or Adam, I just instantly laugh. Yeah, who listens to cocks? Not kink shaming, but still.
But the whole thing was like pulling teeth, and it was fucking painful. And I think it's extremely alarming perspective to have. Unironically calling a 14-year-old and 12-year-old mature enough for a marriage, those are middle schoolers. Like, holy shit. I think that is extremely concerning to be advocating for something like that. Like, would Sneako be okay if his best friend...
It's horribly concerning. Oh, yeah, so it is prefectures. Okay, nice. Is how I wanted to lower it. Yes, especially seeing a lot of people... I will see if I can find some of the docos to see if they're on YouTube. But do you know America still has a child marriage problem? It still happens in a lot of countries. It doesn't happen often in Australia, but it can happen. But America has a huge child marriage problem because America, in some states, they're fixing it a bit. But with parental consent, very young people can get married into child marriages in America. And a lot of people won't even think twice about it. It's very common in like Mormon societies and some others like that. It's cray-cray. Like, it's a problem still being fought against. So lowering consent helps fucking no one. And I say this all the time. Children have rights. Sweet home Alabama. It's fucking depressing. Romania? Yeah, I don't think it's... depending where in the EU, it's less. Some have child marriages, but some have a lot less. Depending... I think Romania still has a few, but I know Sweden and Finland have less.
Ended up marrying a 14-year-old? He certainly shouldn't be. No one should be okay with something like that. Like, that's fucking terrible. That is actually terrible. But now, since I wasn't, like, holding him to this topic or making sure it stayed on the topic I thought we were talking about, it went all over the place with a ton of different things, but the big one...
Which place do you not have that many? Because America does. They get away with it because parental consent. Most parents consent to these child marriages. And this is when I want to slap a bitch when they say parents always want what's best for the child. Then why the fuck are they signing away their children? Why do parents sell their kids? Why does parents abuse their kids if parents always want what's best for their children? If Dell has a high blood pressure formula, my blood is boiling. Money, exactly, fucking money. Some people are selfish. Having a kid doesn't make you less selfish. Have slavery as crazy. Yeah, they just use a funny word called indentured servitude, which is pretty much slavery.
One, and this is what most people have focused on, which was my response to his question about kids transitioning. And the way he would pose that question would be by asking if I thought it was okay if kids who want to switch their gender go to the doctor and get their dick cut off. Is it okay if a 9-year-old goes to a doctor and gets their cock cut off right then and there? And when posed with that question, I replied with yes. And I've talked about this on stream many, many times now, and I'll talk about it again here. I thought he was talking in hyperbole. I thought he was just exaggerating, being over the top, talking about the entire subject of transitioning. I had no idea that any living, breathing human being actually thought that that's how transitioning works, where you just go into a doctor saying, I feel like switching genders, and they lay you down on the operating table and just snip your whole fucking meat off. I didn't know that that's what he actually believed. I didn't know he was speaking...
And as, it's different in some countries, but in America and Australia, it's a bit similar, but actually I think it's a bit easier in America. But most of the time, you cannot medically transition except hormones in most countries. But even then, you have to go through 1 to 2 years of psychological evaluation. So that is something to keep in mind with that. Yeah, obviously there'll be some cases of regret and stuff like that. I do think ideally kids shouldn't transition under the age of 18 if avoidable, but if they're under mental distress, it's like your hands are fucking tied. But most doctors won't do any kind of permanent surgery on a minor. Because they don't want to get fucking sued. Like, it's the same reason a lot of doctors won't do hysterectomies on women in their 20s, even though they legally can get it, just because they don't want to get sued. Even though women should be able to if they want to. Yeah, it's a very lengthy process that requires a lot of evaluations, and any doctor who doesn't do that is breaking the law that already exists. That's the problem, is some people will lie. And just not to act as though we thoroughly understand the science of our own biology, though both sides are guilty of this. However, the side that we know is most appropriate is best for what we know because of we've progressed in society. Exactly. All we can do is base our information on science, research. And that's what it should be based on, not people's feelings. And that's the thing. These things, like, child psychology has been researched. Child development has been researched. It's not perfect, but it's better than saying, well, my feelings told me so. They check if you're mentally stable, because a lot of people get identity crisis and look at the media and see people transition. Yeah, that's the thing. This is also very common dysphoria. Anyone can have your dick small. Anyone can have body dysphoria. If you look in the mirror and you think you're fat but you're perfectly healthy weight, etc., technically that's a kind of body dysphoria. Everyone can have it, and it's also very common in your teen years and with women, which is very interesting to because for some reason male transitioning is more common than female. I'm not sure on the stats on that. But so you can confuse that dysphoria with your gender dysphoria. So that's why they also prefer not to do it in teens, because it's very common for teens to have general dysphoria. So it's not very common. And if they are doing it, they're breaking the law a lot of the time, or lying.
Literally. I thought he was just referring to the entire process of transitioning and just using the...
Well, that's the thing. Top surgery isn't risky. That's the thing. Okay. Top surgery is the most common surgery. Most transgender people, even as adult, dysmorphia. That's what I'm trying to say. Shush up you. But bottom surgery is not common in adults, transgender people. Top surgery is like getting breast implants. It's not actually risky. That's why it's the most common. So.
This over-the-top statement to encapsulate all of it. Because you literally cannot get that surgery unless you are 18. Like, you actually have to go out of your way to be that stupid on the topic than you would just spending a couple of seconds looking it up.
It's also this, that you need parental consent for anything if you're under the age of 18. So that is the thing, which I find very hypocritical. A lot of people don't want the government stepping in to raising their kids, but they want to say that these parents don't understand their kids with this. So the real thing is, do you want the government to get involved, or do you not? Because if they get involved saying they don't know best with this, they'll get involved with everything else. Personally, I think the government should get involved. And if something is at risk of your child, no matter... that's important. The child's rights above all else is destroying MoistCritical. We talk about that Charlie White channel. Oh my god. Yeah. Then hypocritical. A lot of breast augmentation can happen for a lot of reasons, honestly, including back pain, overgrowth, problem development. I know my great aunt got technically what you would call top surgery because she was born with her arm fused to her chest. So nothing developed correctly and all the veins was wrong. So they just removed the entire thing and she got a breast implant later on. But there's a lot of reasons to get some surgeries, not just because of dysmorphia. Sometimes you ain't born right. Some things don't work the way you want it to work, so you need to do surgery to make it work right, you know?
Very rare cases where someone under 18 has had that surgery performed. That's not common. So
Yes, that's why they say mental health, actually going through a psychologist and a psychiatrist is more beneficial over your teen years than actually transitioning physically, because being a teenager... you naturally are more likely to have dysmorphia, depression, identity issues. Let's go. Well, it can be bad for you if your back is breaking.
Really didn't think that someone could be so dumb on the topic. I thought he was just speaking in hyperbole, which
Me
is
too.
my mistake. I should have.
If you banned top surgery, bottom surgery, and stuff like that, intersex people who may be waiting to see what gender they feel like they are, like people who are born with maybe both genitalia or different genitalia, they wouldn't be able to get the medical procedures they would need if you put a flat ban. The real thing is like just offering adequate mental health support is the real thing, but no one wants to pay for it, so they rather just try and put a ban on everything. So it's really annoying. Lower back problems, big boo poo. Yeah, exactly, lower back problems. So, but to be fair, like, people have very weird, hypocritical opinions on a lot of things with kids. Honestly, it's so crazy.
Have been more clear instead of making an assumption that he was talking about something nuanced in an over-the-top way. I haven't hid this take, and it's not a new take from me. I've talked about this a couple times throughout the years on stream. I have no complaints if a kid gets interested in transitioning and starts talking to their family about it. So their parents start talking to doctors, the kid starts talking to doctors and therapists and all of this, because the process of transitioning is one that takes place over the course of many years. It's not something that just happens like that. And I'm also not afraid to admit that I am not the most educated when it comes to transitioning. I am not someone that has a ton of knowledge about the subject to be speaking on it in a really in-depth manner.
And things change and different stuff comes up about this too. But that is the thing, like, sometimes they have to step in for it. Is that there should be some mandates with parents to make sure things are in place for taking care of children. But, I don't know, a lot of people really do act like they completely own their children and that they have the final say on everything.
But even I know these very surface level things that everyone has easy access to understand. It is a long process, and I have no problems at all if a kid gets interested in that process and starts going through that process with proper care.
Talking of the medical system, yes, again, this is a bigger problem in America than Australia, because Australia isn't majority private, but most of America is private medical. A lot of medical systems over there push you to have surgery, push you to do medical routes, push you for things you may not need before the time because they want the money from the insurance. So that is a problem in itself. Is unnecessary surgeries or unnecessary things like that. Well, that's the thing. They need if the system doesn't work, you need to change it. Because the thing is, child abuse is very prominent. Negligence of children is very prominent. Each country is filled to the brim with foster kids. Something isn't working. So that is the thing. It's not that it doesn't outlie to every single person. It's just they have the mindset that at home with the parents is the best. The brim. I said brim, not broom. God damn it. Is that the parents have the best mindset for their children at all times, which is proven false. So, what do you do? Hey, Civil Master. Here's a little cool thing about hospitals. They try to actively scam your insurance company, not you. Crazy. Yes. But see, that is the thing you have to think here. It's if you're a good parent, these laws don't fucking matter to you, do you? Does it? The only people who complain about the government caring about their kids is people that want to do whatever the fuck they want most of the time. I'm legally not required to give a frick, just watch the world burn. Oh my god. Slap the parents, exactly. Slap the parents, not the kids.
And then when they reach the age where they can consider that surgery and decide they want to do it, then that's all power to them. That's entirely up to them. They have reached that age. They can now do that surgery if they want to. That is not a surgery that's being offered to a 9-year-old who just says, I feel like changing genders today. It's just not how it works. And I didn't think that that's what was actually being discussed because it's so fucking silly. Now, I'm sure there's some really fringe cases you can point to where that kind of thing did happen, but it's not common. Thus, I didn't think that's what was being referred to in the conversation. And it is, again, my mistake for not recognizing that at that moment, it was being spoken about literally. So all that shit that people keep dogpiling and spouting about me about how I want all kids to go out there and get their genitals chopped off is just fucked up. It's so ridiculous. I recognize I did a horrible job of arguing in this debate, which isn't surprising considering I don't debate. This is not something that's in my skill set, which of course led to some embarrassingly dog shit arguments. Like the one I've seen people reference a couple times is when I briefly mentioned sports in this topic. It was a stupid point to try and make. I was getting hit by like some rebound psychic damage listening to some of the drivel brain.
Yes, but there's the people that aren't around the kids all day, but there are basic things that children need: not to get beaten, to be fed, to be loved, to be cared for, to not be forced into unwise situations like marrying at 14, being sold into a dowry. You know, there are some things that you know, without a fact, is bad for every child. And those rules are there for a fucking reason. You know what I mean? Like, and those are the rules that matter the most. Like, and that's the thing, is like, you can't just go, well, it's completely up to all the parents, because a lot of parents don't know how to parent. That is like a fair fact. I'm off to sleep. Bye, Friedman. Thank you for everything. You honestly, I'll see you next time. See you next time, Omi. But so that is the main thing. I should not need to be forced to be an adult. Exactly. There is some this is a debate in Australia. There is some parents that think it is the oldest child's duty to help raise the younger children. Because the parents say it's true, should that be fine? Some parents think that they don't have to give their kids an education because it's not needed. Should kids be made, and should kids all know how to read? These are questions that not all parents agree on, but that's what the education system and the government is for. Exactly. People want to say, oh, they should make people do parenting classes, but you can't even put down a standard of how to treat kids, like, without people arguing.
Brain rot that Sneako is spouting about the age of consent, and I don't know why.
No, but the true use reply to all situations regardless of whether it helps. To create exactly, but what does a good parent have to fear from that mandate if they aren't breaking any of those rules? What do they realistically have to fear? Nothing. If you're not letting your kids learn how to read, you have nothing to fear from education on that. What is the real fear there? And seeing there's millions and millions of, like, there's overflowing foster systems of kids being taken by CPS in America. It's way more than you think that have this problem.
Why I thought this was like an argument to try and make, but
Even in Australia, where we only have 25 million people, there's almost 100,000 lost children in welfare systems because they don't have a home, they don't have parents, or they have abusive parents. That's a lot of fucking kids.
Up sports in this subject, and I was going to try and elaborate on it, but didn't at all. What I was going to try and say is that when a kid gets interested in a sport, they'll talk to their parents about it, they'll research the sport, go through the process of learning about it. And when it comes to transitioning, it's still a process where you talk to your family about it, you learn about it. Like, it wasn't a point where I was trying to say, well, changing genders is a lot like picking between baseball and soccer. Like, that's not what I was trying to get at, but because I didn't elaborate on it and it really wasn't a good argument to try and make in the first place, that's one people have harped on a lot. And I get it. Like I said, I am not a debater. Like, I didn't go in here expecting a debate. So I had nothing prepared here for this inundation of outrageous questions and tangents. Like, there was a point where Sneako was trying to get me to say white power. Like, the whole thing was a fucking mess. It was, without a doubt, probably the worst debate that video has ever been cursed with.
What?
And I really regret
just white power? What the
not
fuck?
doing a better job here. It's not something I should have even done in the first place. I just have a tendency to really hope for the best out of people, and I was really hoping that I and most people were wrong about Sneako's perspective on the age of consent. However, unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be the case. He was very adamant about this position, and I did a terrible job in arguing with him, and I did a terrible job of articulating my beliefs. I am supportive of the LGBTQ+, and I have been, and that's not something I've been shy about. I just wish I did a better job of expressing that. To be open and honest here, and I've talked about this a lot, I've always treated my channel kind of like a diary for myself, which is why I just talk about so much different nonsense and so many things that I know a lot of people don't give a fuck about, but some of it's fun for me to talk about, or some of it's just things I care about. So being totally honest, I used to treat the internet as an escape from my dog shit real life. Truly unhappy, really hated most of everything about myself, and the internet was my escape from it. But now it's really become that real life is the escapism for me now. Like, I love posting and creating things, but I don't like interacting with the internet around me anymore. And it's something that I started to realize a couple months ago, and I've talked about it on stream a little bit, how because I've covered so many like drama stories and everything, it's pretty much all that I ever get told about when I'm streaming, and it's become such a massive headache, and it's just constant negativity that I'm fully flooded
That can happen, like, whenever certain stories come out.
with, like, at all hours. Like, I am in like this human centipede of eating someone's ass while having my ass eaten, with even more things that I'm being demanded to like talk about, where everything just feels like a lose-lose, and it has been for like the last 6 or 8 months, I feel, where if I talk about something, it's a problem, even if something is cut and dry as...
Exactly. Damn fame, well, negativity. Well, technically, it is illegal for kids to be home alone. So that is up to the parents to organize that their kids should not be home before them. Like, when there is no one at home with a child, that's illegal. So I don't think kids should be left at home. If they were told to solve that problem, they didn't solve that problem. That's when CPS is going to get called, because you know what happens when kids are left alone with no adults? They can die. Kids will touch power cords. Kids will fucking wrestle on TVs. Kids will set fire to things. Well, that's the thing. Ideally, a single parent wouldn't need to work, but that's the thing. Are they making so much money in there that they can't? Why is daycare so expensive that they can't afford to send their to daycare? Why isn't there a system there for the other parent to pay for it? There's a lot of failings in there, but you can't leave a kid at home alone. That sucks, but you won't have a kid to feed if they're dead, you know? That's the thing. Do you care about working, or do you care about the kid, not dying? Because you won't have to work if the kid, smacks their head against a counter and dies. That is the real problem. That's why free daycare is a thing where I live. God, I wish. It's like $70 in some European countries. That's what we need. I agree. I think daycare is horribly expensive. I don't think it's a bad thing that kids shouldn't be at home alone. I think it's a bad thing how fucking expensive daycare is. It should be affordable, especially to single parents. I think she should have access to affordable daycare. But the thing is, if she has a kid, she should stay home until they can come home alone, or organize shifts until it's done. And if they can't afford to do that, why the fuck is parenting payment so fucking low that a mum can't even stay home with their kid until their school hours? But realistically, you shouldn't take a job that will go over the hours they're at school if they're of school age. That is how it kind of works. That is what you have to do as a parent. Oh my god, daycares in the US fucking suck. But you know what solves that? More regulations and more subsidies from the government. But I bet people are gonna say, government shouldn't put more regulations on things. Government shouldn't give more money to single mums and shit like that as a counter. So if you can't give more money to single mums, you can't regulate the daycares, you can't give more subsidies. Like, how are they supposed to solve the problem? Sounds like communism, you guys, and you communism, you guys are crazy. But, like, that is kind of the problem there, is, like, everything is infringing on the rights. If you can't solve everything, like, should the kid be left home alone? What if they're fucking 4, 5, 6? Like, just because it hasn't happened to you, to stay home. That's the thing. If you don't make enough money, if you don't make more money than your welfare, why are you working in general? Like, if you don't have enough money for daycare or anything like that. And then if you're going to say, well, they get paid shit in America on single parenting payment. That sounds like a fucking skill issue by the government again. They should get paid more. So, instead of having to pay someone else to take care of their kid, or, leave them into cars. Because what's also something against the law? Leave your kid in cars when you go to work. You would say that parent's a dumb piece of shit if they left their kid in a car while they went to work, right? But if they leave them home alone, they're not bad. CPS shouldn't be called. It's a really weird double standard there. Government shouldn't give money to single moms. People would just divorce and abuse. Shut the fuck up. People just divorce and abuse. No! That is not how that works. The lowest percentage of welfare recipients are actual single mothers and single fathers. Every country spends more on old age pension as much as they do on every other payment. Every other payment combined is the same as age pension almost. If anything, we should put the old people to the moon. No, I'm kidding. I love the old people, but like that actually costs more. They're wild saying together. Sluts. Sluts.
Like Cody Ko having sex with a 17-year-old being bad. I caught a lot of shit for that too. I'm sure a lot of people probably didn't see that, but man, the amount of emails I got and a lot of the things I was seeing, even something as cut and dry as that was an issue when I talked about it. And then if I don't talk about something, or if I don't talk about something fast enough in the time that some people think is appropriate, I'm then accused of covering up for something for an ulterior evil motive. So it just really feels like a rock and a hard place where, regardless, it's just going to be a massive flood of negativity. And a huge critique of me that
my point is, that's going to be the smallest outlier, so I don't give a shit. Like, my point is, if that family is so broke that they can't afford to be together, please adopt me. Thanks, Kruz, for the gifted sub. Thank you so much, homie. Del approved. Like, they're broke, bro. W gifted. That's my opinion on that. But that's my thing. A lot of people will be just like, we gotta do this for the kids and take care of the kids. How about we pay subsidize daycare more, or run government-funded daycare so parents can work in peace, not worried about their kids? I don't want to pay for the children, but you just said how much you fucking care about the kids. Oh, so you want to control the kids' life, what they're taught in schools, or that you don't want them to go to school because they're taught not to love whatever religion you love or whatever bullshit, but you don't want to help pay for them to have a better life. AK, you don't actually give a shit. Just let them leave them into the woods. For survival of the fittest.
Charlie's a fence sitter. He's just a fucking fence sitting enlightened centrist cuck, this and that. And I've always said for the entire time I've been on the internet, I'm not special. I'm literally just a normal guy who got very lucky. I just sit here, joke about shit, talk about my opinion on things, and nothing else. I don't have a unique perspective on things. I don't have deep insight into the vicissitudes of certain...
Yeah, guys, he's just a pretty face. Why can't you just let MoistCritical be a pretty face, okay? Why you keep asking for answers from him? Just let him live his life with his beautiful Jesus hair flapping into the wind.
Things. I am literally just a guy who yaps, has some fun, talks about shit, does some wacky stuff as well, and that's it. It's just not that deep. But because everything is so inflammatory and charged online, it's being perceived in the last 2 years, it's really popped off, as me making deliberate attempts to appease both sides and play right down the middle to soak up as much as possible.
Tartsy's is an outlier. I didn't say yours is an outlier. Tartsy's divorce thing. Abusing welfare by divorcing them, and, you know, then going on welfare or whatever for money. For single parents, it would be abused. That's the outlier, not single parents. Single parents truly don't have enough money, but I don't think the answer is leaving your kids run wild to hopefully drown, get electrocuted, or a cupboard to fall on their heads is the best option. I just think actually giving single parents a way to support their children is the correct way, or affordable daycare, or anything other than leaving kids at home to fend for themselves is the correct answer. And yes, I do think the system around that is broken, but it doesn't change the fact it's illegal to leave your kids at home alone, and dangerous. That government favors the parents' right person over the kid of kids in general, which sucks because for a lot of kids, they have no outs. Exactly. Look at the abuse in Asian countries to parents. Look at Japan. Japan, parents own your legal documents. You are not a person without them in Japan. A lot of homeless teens are because their parents won't hand over their legal documents. Because once they're out of the family, they're out of the family. Stuff like that happens, and that's why you can't do have complete control. because it doesn't work. There has to be a partnership between parents and government for the benefit for the child. It's the same with teachers. The teachers aren't completely responsible for the child. The parent isn't completely responsible for the child. It's a partnership of learning and compromise. That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
It's all this like nefarious scheme where I'm doing this with my hands. And I just don't understand how it's become so incendiary where that's apparently like a really bad thing now. My opinion is not special, and my opinion isn't one that's pandering to any sides or catering to anything. It's literally just whatever's up here. I sit down for like 30 to 45 minutes on like a topic or like a video that I'm joking around about, and I talk about it. I am legitimately just an average, well, below average height guy who's about to turn 30. I'm not just spitting hot takes out.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to talk about this in between here, because Tadsy's bringing up a good point. And this is something people don't understand. This is called a poverty trap, okay? This is actually called a poverty trap, and it's why it's so hard to get out of poverty. So if parents want to get back together, but it fails, and the single parent loses out on the benefits, like I said, it can't be enforced fairly. Exactly. But without any benefits, people are stuck in bad marriages. So you can't do zero benefits, or wives or husbands will be stuck in a financial destitute situation. But this is why a lot of people can't get back together, even if they want to, with their spouses or get on new partners. This is why disabled people are discouraged from dating, is because you will lose any benefits you have, and you are just a financial burden to everyone around you. It's the same with working. Technically, I'm disabled with an autoimmune condition. If I make over $1,000 a month Australian, oh, well, actually it's 600 or something. It's like 600 or so dollars. I lose money from my benefits. So I have to start paying more of it. Thankfully, I'm disabled, so it's like 50 cents on the dollar or something like that. But if I make $2,000 a month, I literally just start paying for everything myself, and you get zero. So for working an entire month and making yourself sick as a disabled or a parent, you make the exact same amount you would have been if you worked zero. It does not actually benefit you to spend time away from your children or to be a productive member of society as a disabled person or a parent, because you are busting your ass to get nowhere. And that is the exact problem with the setup of it. Instead of doing ways to help push people for that little, or for getting a partner, that's fucked up. If I got a partner that did a normal wage, like if they made $50,000 a year, even if they made $30,000 a year, I would get $0. My partner would be 100% responsible for me financially. So I would be, unless I make money on the side from freelancing and stuff, I would be a complete financial burden to them. And that is why a lot of disabled people are single, because they just can't actually afford to even be in love with anyone. It's like, you can't actually afford to live with someone. It's fucking depressing. But the thing is, you can't not do those benefits by, oh, people will abuse it, or people won't go back to their spouse and stuff. Because if someone leaves their husband and there is no parenting payment, and they have 3 kids, what are they gonna do? Starve to death? You got a partner not just seeing people? If they live in a house with you, you then have to legally prove that you aren't dating them. But also, that's called a federal fine. That's called a fine. That's called, a crime, not a fine. Well, you will get a fine. I think it's like $20,000 fine or something. But yeah, it's called a crime, guys. Lying to your government's a crime. Are you trying to say I'm supposed to do tax fraud? But also, if you are caught lying on any of these things, you can be banned for up to 5 to 10 years from getting any government end. Yeah, so there's a lot of laws there that actually kind of keep you in a poverty hole. There's a lot of similar ones in America. The laws aren't actually put up there to get you in a better situation. So unrest you, exactly. So that's a very interesting thing you have to think about. It's like, because of things, Slap makes a good point with that too, even in between our back and forwards of what is allowed, that is called a poverty hole that they've put that mother in. It's not really the mum's fault that she's pushed into that situation, but they pushed her into a poverty hole where she doesn't make enough on parenting payment, but she needs to work. But she can't afford daycare because it's overpriced. So they've stuck her in a cap that she cannot pull herself out of poverty anymore. And that's why I say one of those things need to change. Either daycare has to be cheaper or parenting payment needs to be increased, because either way, she's stuck in a poverty hole that she can't get out of in a box back, basically, yeah. And she can't dig her way out. She can't give her kid an equivalent life. But to be fair, if you talk about like rights to have a certain standard of living also in America, because European countries have a standard of living, as in there is rights. And I think Finland, Sweden, and Denmark has a right to a home in their constitution. So they have affordable government housing for everyone because you have a right to a home. And certain things like that you have rights to. And students have a right to a free education. So private schools aren't common, etc. Like, so that is the thing. But if you try to talk to Americans about it, you're a socialist or a communist. We don't even have that in Australia fully either. We're like some dirty middle ground that can't decide what we want to be. We're like that ugly baby that's kind of scuffed, you know? Yeah, I'm ready. Vote your buddy for prime minister. But yeah, so even we have problems too. So, but like, the problem is a lot of people just say, I don't want to pay for that. Until the 90s, yes, there's a lot of stuff. Do you know how many fucking Americans said I should be eugenics? That, or other disabled people should just die because we're a drain on society. To be fair, I've heard some Australians say it too, so I'm not going to go just against Americans, but I've heard Americans say it the most. To be fair, there is just more Americans. But yeah, people don't like the disabled. I was even paid, you lucky son of a bitch. Yes, my European friends were paid to go to university. Can we all fucking weep together that we're not European? They didn't even get, their university was free. But they also got paid to go. Yeah, that's some Nazi bullshit right there. Yeah, exactly. Everyone hates eugenics until it's a disabled person, and then everyone's like, get your weak genetic makeup out of here. I want to be like Americans. Exactly. True. Of money transactions, literally everything. But yeah, so that is something to like definitely think about, like with these systems.
The laws
must be fucking nice, huh? Even mine wasn't free, but you know, it was free in Australia until the 80s. University was free in Australia until the 80s. It was also free in America until like I think the 60s or something. Must be fucking nice, right? The last people that euthanized disabled people who started World War II. This is really an example people want to follow. Some people, they also want to kill all old people because they're useless, etc. It's like, some people are free in Denmark, I believe. Yeah, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, I'm pretty sure Slovakia, or it's very, very cheap. I'm not sure on all the other ones, I just know people in that country, and so I looked it up. To finish 8th grade minimum, yeah. Pain.
Do here. I'm just being myself. That's all this channel ever has been. And now it's become super controversial to do that if it's not like, you know, picking sides on everything, it seems. And it's very frustrating. For the longest time, it was just me having fun. And for the most part, it still is. But I've started to recognize over the last few months that some of the things I do just really aren't fun for me to do, and I've been doing them out of obligation. Mainly internet drama.
And that's completely fair. Sometimes things are just fair. Hey, OCD, welcome in. And hey, John Smith, welcome in, homie. Should be free, but I do think it's way too overpriced. I don't know. Is there a particular reason you think it shouldn't be free? Like, I'm curious to see debates, like your perspective of why university shouldn't be free. But I definitely think at the very least it shouldn't be so fucking overpriced. Because in my opinion, university being overpriced and not free completely keeps certain careers or roles away from poor people. There is absolutely no way some people from certain backgrounds could ever achieve those jobs. Like, it's coming, I've met multiple people that really wanted to be doctors. They became nurses because there was no way in hell they could afford to be out of work for 10 years. Almost. That is like the main thing. It's so heartbreaking to see a lot of people with big dreams, but they had to be realistic and had no chance of ever affording them. Because I got my associates with my high school diploma for free. That's good. Good planning. Rated the highest of averages. Exactly. I do agree with that. To a little bit everyone to become disabled. Yes, a lot of people don't realize you're always one bad day away from being disabled yourself, but a lot of people don't think like that.
When I initially started covering drama so many years ago now, it was fun because it wasn't as serious. Like the stories were a lot, more quirky. It was easy to get invested because it was kind of just like a soap opera, like a really dumb soap opera. But recently it's been much more serious, and I feel the need to talk about these things because a lot of them are extremely serious with very important topics to discuss. But it has become draining. As much as I never wanted to admit it, I've started to recognize that my mood is immediately impacted by whatever I read on Twitter in the morning. If that's some horrible stuff about
he needs grass, he needs more grass in his life. I can understand that. Waste of resources, why is it overpriced to keep people in debt? Exactly. But that's terrible. Those are bad thing. Why is it free? Waste of resources. But how is it a waste of resources? You get more educated people into the jobs you want. You get more people working at these universities, so more wages going around. Education is never a waste of resources. And how they do it in European countries is they do max you out. You can't just go and do a bunch of bachelors. You are entitled to like 3 to 4, 5 years of paid bachelor's education, and unless you're going to a master's or a PhD, like it's not like a free for all that everything is free. It's just your bachelor's or your first reign into education is free. It's in Australia we have something similar, not for university but for TAFE, and I do agree that I don't think everything needs a fucking university degree to do. Sometimes you just need a diploma, which is under a bachelor's in Australia. It's like, I personally think graphic design and digital design, or even animation, should just be a diploma, and then you go work internships at studios that are paid, that teach you real jobs. Because it really doesn't fucking need an academic degree to do it. And they are just fluffing up their numbers so they can charge you 50 grand for something that's not going to get you paid more. It's really annoying. But I don't think education is bad in any way. I think free because it's net profit for the economy. I think it's personally good for the economy. I just do think that, again, some jobs don't need it. It's fair. Like, I think we should, like, especially like trades, like builders, get a lot of their stuff. They do a diploma while they're doing a 4-year internship to be a builder. That's, like, there should be more job tracks that are like that, I feel, that involve just 4 years of slowly getting paid more and more. Public universities are affordable until the 80s when the number of people spent attending college went through the roof. Exactly. Wanted to go to school. And that's honestly why I do think some degrees need to be like a community college 1 to 2, not a bachelor's or a university.
About a creator or what have you, it immediately affects my entire day and my whole outlook on the day.
Yeah, I feel like other countries are way more cool with paying taxes, but I also think I do slightly get where Americans are coming from. I'm completely cool and actually excited to pay taxes because I've never been able to make enough money to do it. I'm excited, bitch. But I would say I'm not happy all the way the Australian government spends money, but they do a better job than the American government. So I feel like if Americans saw their money getting spent a bit more wisely, like their hospitals doing better or their school systems doing better, and maybe their politicians not getting as many pay slips getting higher and higher for their politicians' pay rises, they would be a bit happier paying taxes, but I don't know, that's just I guess hopefulness for a lot of years, and then the universe decided I should become a sick individual. Yes, I was born really fucking healthy. Sorry, I'm skipping a lot of messages because there's too many there. And I got sick when I was 14. I was incredibly healthy until then. Some people might not believe it. Yeah, like a bricklayer, anything. Like most retail jobs should be in internships, and they usually are. Management, stuff like that. They shouldn't all need fucking bachelors. not getting their money, they stop listening already. Exactly. This is such a big part in Australia. Whenever the Australian government takes a pay increase, everyone fucking almost riots.
Hey, now I know, call the wambulance, get some French cries, just fucking whining about having to talk about drama. What a stupid problem to be upset about. But I'm just trying to explain that it hasn't been as fun recently. It hasn't. And the main thing, if you've been around the channel for a while, is I've always wanted this to be fun and never
I'll answer the taxes question after we finish this video.
feel like a job. And as hard as it is for me to admit this, a lot of this kind of stuff, it has just started to feel like less fun and more of, well, gotta do this because I'm expected to. Like anytime I go live, most of chat is just telling me about the latest in whatever's happening in the creator space or some other like extremely negative thing going on. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to learn all about that once I turn stream off. So then I spend a few hours learning about these things, and it's all just really upsetting stuff. Like, it's not happy. It's all very sad, bad stuff. And
This is the part where content creation and stuff can feel like a job and burns you out, is when it starts feeling like you have to do this. It is expected to, or people are asking to. That's why even now, people's like, oh, you're going to talk about this on your main, you know, my commentary YouTube? And I'm like, it doesn't interest me. And I'll be like honest that most of the things I talk about on that channel, I'll only talk about mostly if it interests me. Or I'm like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. And because I'm trying to avoid this exact same thing.
it's been making me not happy. So I definitely think I'll be slowing down on covering internet-related drama or like drama in general. I'll still talk about like really wacky stories and shit like that, but I definitely think I'm gonna be pumping the brakes on like the kind of drama I have been covering recently. And instead, I'm gonna go back to focusing on the content that I'm most happy with. Like, if you ask me what content I'm most proud of throughout my entire time on this platform for the last, like, 17, 18 years, none of it would be drama coverage. It'd be things like Skynut. It'd be things like shooting a potato at a tennis racket to see if you can make french fries in midair by frying them in hot oil. It's shit like that.
Oh my god.
And I think I'm going to go back to that kind of stuff as opposed to the direction that I have been going recently. So, yeah, this was a lot to go over here, but I hope this has cleared everything up.
Yeah. So,
and
yeah,
that's
no break. He's just changing stuff because it's getting annoying.
really about it. So yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. I was aware that he wasn't taking a break and all that other stuff was like just hobbity gobbity. But yeah, if he needs break from this kind of stuff and that kind of content is burning him out, bye. That's fine. Never be a slave to the grind. Okay. What were we saying now? I will no longer ignore you guys now to finish that video. We really did get off topic a lot. It's because that took for ages. So I'll go over some of these taxes. I need some glasses. I need some glasses for when we talk about taxes and shit. Wixie tax. Yes. Doesn't America have some of the lowest tax in the world though? Or am I cray cray? Like,